Yo, gamers, the rabbit hole deepens. SCP-169 Leviathan. I've been recommended this one a great deal, and don't think that just because I've been on my has-been hotel binge lately, I have forgotten about the SCP lore Nuxploration. I am going to Nuxplore this lore to the very goddamn end. I am going to loregasm all over this series, because the SCP stories have been fascinating me, and I am here. I am so here for it. The reason why I ended up selecting Leviathan instead of some of the other highly requested ones, like SCP-3883, the tentacle dildo, is simply because I've been using the line that the Leviathans are coming for you. I've been using that line a lot lately, so let's do it. SCP Leviathan. I am so ready for it. Let's go.
40 years ago, a U.S. Navy exploratory vessel landed on a chain of islands in the South Atlantic, just 2,000 miles off the coast of Argentina. In other words, the middle of nowhere.
There's no island there. Nani?
Yet on this far-off set of rocks afloat in the middle of the ocean, they discovered a vast array of strange wildlife and plant species that resemble little of what they left behind on the mainland.
Okay.
Could this be a treasure trove of undiscovered species, they wondered,
Oh.
hoping to capitalize on the discovery?
Dude, whenever there's undiscovered species, it doesn't go well for the adventurers. Oh, God.
A reconnaissance team of researchers was sent out to explore some of the islands on foot, and what they found did not disappoint.
Hell yeah, rich wildlife. Can't see anything wrong happening here. But if it's truly such a major threat, then I feel like the actual people in Argentina would have noticed it, and it's not only affecting this teeny weeny little island. So I guess that they're gonna make Leviathan like just kind of a little thing. There's no way they're gonna actually make Leviathan that dangerous, or else other people would have heard of it, right? Right?
From endangered species of birds to plant life and vegetation that looked like it belonged on Mars, they found a dizzying array of new and exciting examples of evolutionary oddities that would fill a library. But unfortunately, their jubilation was cut short. Attempting to collect soil samples, they dug into the ground and soon discovered that what they were standing on wasn't actually ground at all.
No, they're not standing on the Leviathan, right?
Navy scientists soon discovered the rocky terrain they were exploring was actually made up entirely of organic matter.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Nah, I'd win.
As per the standard protocol, the
standard protocol will just take death row inmates and put them there and see what happens. Oh my god.
SCP Foundation was forced to silence the U.S. Navy research vessel after its discovery.
Wait, the SCP Foundation can silence the U.S. military? How strong are these guys?
With the okay from the U.S. government, the ship was torpedoed.
They legally did this. They got permission from the United States to kill these people. Nah, I'd have sex with an island.
Sunk to the bottom of the ocean with all hands on deck, in the name of protecting the greater good of the masses.
The greater good! I, Nux Pentius, believe in the greater good, and I shall use this moment to remind the world that I will become their newest overlord. I believe in ethics, morals, normalcy, and with my minions in chat, we will also do ethical things in the name of America, like murder innocent people.
A tragedy at sea for the sake of preventing worldwide pandemonium. From there, the Foundation took over with the containment procedures of what would eventually come to be known as SCP-169, better known by its nickname, the Leviathan.
Wait, is this the actual biblical Leviathan, or is this just a big sea creature? Because if it's just a big sea creature, then Leviathan is a bit of a misnomer, possibly. I mean, I guess we'll see where it goes, but so far, I am intrigued.
Portions. Said to be able to boil the seas and create earth-ending floods with just a whip of its massive continent-spanning body. It is unclear if SCP-169 has the ability to do these things, though, given its massive size, which Foundation researchers estimate to be somewhere between 2,000 and 8,000 kilometers.
What? 8,000 kilometers long? Bro, oh my god. This could destroy the world. I mean, it's just a big fish. It's just a big fish. It's just a big fish. Let's not worry. It's just a big fish.
It's easy to see how something—
Nah, I'd win. Just big fish. I'd win. Nah, I'd win. It needs water. I don't. I'd win. Nah, I'd Leviathan. Nah, Leviathans are coming for you.
That big moving at any speed could be devastating for the coastal regions of the world. Although we use the word contain, it is impossible for SCP staff to ever contain something of such massive size. Surveillance and monitoring are about all.
Wait, so it's just dormant, right? So this entire SCP-169 Leviathan, do you even need to contain it? Like, I guess it could destroy the world if it wanted to, but it's kind of just sleeping.
Can do for now. That and hope it never wakes up and decides that we're on the menu. It was thought to be relatively smooth sailing until one incident changed everything. Dr. Hart turned off the video monitor.
It makes no sense. Hold on. Earth's radius is 6,000 kilometers. How the hell is this longer than the radius of the Earth?
And faced the assembled members of MTF Gamma 6, also known as the Deep Feeders, renowned for their specialization in the tracking of deep sea and oceanic anomalies.
Deep feeders are about to become deep food.
The room was dark, and each team member was sitting in shadow. But still, Dr. Hart...
Okay, if we are going to take this to an incredibly basic biblical proportion, right? The Leviathan is just created by God. It didn't actually have parents. It's some immortal being created by God, and it's just sitting there now, dormant. What, waiting for the end times, I guess? Like, but what if it's not a threat? I feel like there's nothing you could do about it. Like, you can't kill it. You might wake it.
Hart could see the seriousness on their faces. "I'm sure you're wondering why I called you here at such short notice," he said. On the screen behind him, he put up a NASA satellite picture of a small set of rocky islands. "You see this little island chain here? Well, it wasn't there a week ago." He paused.
Oh, it is moving. Okay, that's the fear. Got it.
Rubbing his forehead from lack of sleep. "At 8:05 a.m. today, we recorded another auditory anomaly emitting from SCP-169. This one was much louder and longer than the one recorded in 1997 by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the one known as the Bloop. Back then,
the Bloop!
To brush off as some ice breaking off of a continental shelf and scraping against the seafloor. It's not so easy to cover up anymore. These auditory emissions..."
Bro, this is scary as shit, bro. Oh my god.
"From SCP-169...
So wait, so this whole episode is just kind of world building, but what are they even doing?
...are beginning to grow more...
But the Bloop is a real thing? Okay, Nuxl, I guess. The Bloop is just a real thing that they're tying into the lore of this. Okay, I'm sorry. I was just being stupid for a second. I brain farted.
Increased seismic activity around the archipelago on the creature's back indicates that the rate at which the creature is breathing is also up. Typically, the rate at which the creature takes what we are assuming to be a breath is once every 3 months. The rate has increased."
This whole thing is just countermeasures in case it wakes. Hopefully it won't. Maybe it never will. But what if it does? I get that fear. Like, yes, it might be the end of the world, but you want to at least know if there's something you can do.
"For as long as we've been monitoring SCP-169, it's along the southern Atlantic, never moving more than 1 kilometer a week. That behavior is slowly beginning to change. It doesn't sound like much, but something that big even moving just a fraction of..."
Wait a second, but what if the fear isn't if it wakes up? What if the fear is that it just slowly moves until it hits a continent? What if it slowly moves until it just wipes South America off the map, just casually destroying it? Yo, what the frick? I didn't consider that!
That faster means 100-foot tidal waves for the entire South America.
Oh my god!
We fear the creature is showing signs of waking up. If this is true, it could mean a cataclysm for the hundreds of nations around the world. Millions, hell, even billions could be wiped off the face of the earth if this thing just flips its body too fast in the wrong direction.
That's insane. Okay, that is a massive fear. Alright, dude, alright. I'm beginning to see what we're doing here.
To put it to scale, this monster is about the size of the Caribbean.
Oh my lord.
Bigger as far as we know. The doctor then pulled out a decanter of whiskey and poured himself a glass, swallowing the entire pour in one go. In an appalling breach of workplace professionalism. Seriously, an XK class end of the world scenario is still no excuse for drinking on the job. We're talking about an extinction level event. A bona fide XK class end of the world scenario. 1,000-foot tsunami wave stretching as far as the eye can see from either end of the horizon.
Time to move to Mars, ladies and gentlemen. Get the frick out of there. If I saw one of these in real life, dude, I would just, I'd win. I would just do the lobotomy at that point.
The last time SCP-169 stirred, it created the Mediterranean.
Oh my god. Stirred, it didn't even wake up. Nah, I'd surf. Nah, I'd swim. Nah, I'd win.
In fact,
nah, I'd lobotomy. Lobotomy, I'd nah.
Legends of the biblical...
People are gonna watch this YouTube video not knowing the lobotomy Kaisen means, and they're gonna think that I'm just actually brain dead.
Flood, Noah's Ark, the same story can be found in every civilization and culture.
Bro, Noah's Ark is just the Leviathan turning over, rolling over in its sleep.
Well, so maybe they were onto something. It is to this end I call you all here, to save the world from the next great flood. He paused for a moment as the room took in the gravity of the situation.
Yo.
The more we can learn about SCP-169,
Nah, I'd move to Mars.
the better. Right now, we know squat. For one, we've never seen just how deep the body of the creature goes, or what's under it.
Oh my god.
The pressure has been too great for our current models.
The ocean pressure is too strong, so they never even got to the bottom of it. Oh my god.
Submarines, until now. After reinforcing our Nemo-1 deep-sea submersible with thaumaturgical runes, the integrity of its hull has increased exponentially. Your mission will be to travel as far down and as close to the creature as possible. If it breathes, then there must be gills or lungs. There must be...
They're gonna try to kill it. They're gonna see if it needs to breathe, there must be a way to stop it from breathing. No way they're gonna try to suffocate it to death.
Some basic biological facts we need to understand if we're going to survive extinction.
They actually want to kill the Leviathan. That's great. I mean, I guess ultimately you gotta figure that shit out if it's even possible.
Our only recourse is to find a way to sedate the creature. And if that doesn't work, then God help us all. Just 12.
Yeah, if that doesn't work, your hands are in the fates of this creature. And the rest of your life only is just as a mere tiny bloop on his radar that maybe he'll just wake up one day and it's over.
12 hours later, deep in the waters of the southern Atlantic, a massive submersible ship was diving down into the depths of the deep ocean,
All right.
looking for a way to stop the end of the world. Agent Just 6-1, a member of Deep Feeders, looked out of the massive viewing port as the ship slowly descended alongside the rocky trench that made up the body of SCP-169. Behind him was Dr.
insane.
Hart, sporting a white 5 o'clock shadow and a red nose from a night of drinking to calm his nerves.
I have always said this. Literally always said this. Guys, don't worry. Yes, the world might end at some point, but what's worrying gonna help, huh? Come on, brother. Take a drink, hang out with some homies, play some Pal World. Come on, homie. Come on, bro. You got this. You got this. What are you gonna do about it, huh? Are you listening, my eggies? Don't worry about something you cannot control.
Our crew were silent in awe as the giant floodlights of the ship brushed over the barnacle-covered surfaces of the undersea mountain. They progressed slowly, reaching each milestone in depth with caution, knowing that one wrong move could destabilize the pressure in their ship.
Oh my
Just
god.
6-1 murmured the word, scales. What? Asked Dr. Hart. I've been watching the patterns of the ridges as we sink down. They look like scales.
Scales? Like scales on like a snake? Scales?
Giant segments. It's hard to see at first because they're so covered in barnacles and sediment, but I'm sure of it. They're giant, armored scales. The way lobsters or crabs have armored exoskeletons. Interesting,
Okay.
the doctor said, scratching his chin. Arthropods have segmented armored bodies. This means we might be looking at some sort of evolutionary hybrid. Some sort of
I don't know how that's gonna help you, but alright.
aquatic mammal, such as a whale or dolphin.
Bro, why don't they get SCP-343 God and be like, yo, dude, speaking of your creations, are you familiar with this guy?
One that has developed armored segmented scales similar to that of a crustacean. The doctor crossed his arms to think. The closest thing we have on the fossil record of this magnitude is an armored fish from the Cretaceous period. But even that's way too small to compare to this. This thing has an entire ecosystem on its back.
Bruh.
How old is it?
Actually
Asked the
insane.
agent.
There's no way to know.
Well, now that you mention it, given the impossible age of the creature, odd would make sense. Lobsters and other crustaceans don't age conventionally, you see. They are effectively immortal.
What the frick?
In fact, they actually die because they can
No way, dude. No way they're really shoving this evolutionary theory in here. That is just an arthropod that just keeps growing for eternity.
continue to grow until their bodies can't hold up their humongous size anymore. And yet, SCP-169 just kept growing. The doctor trailed off, thinking to himself. Dr. Hart, still lost in thought, turned to walk to the back of the submersible.
If they could figure out that it's a crustacean, I mean, I don't know exactly how that's gonna help, but like, that's massive info.
6-1 followed.
It's just a massive overgrown crab.
He said as much to himself as to the agent. The creature is old. The geological survey conducted when SCP-169 was first discovered carbon dated the specimen to over 541 million years old.
Dude, that's old, bro. That is old.
As you can probably surmise that's too old for any living being. The results had to be incorrect, and yet I checked them myself more than once. And numbers do not lie. The entity predates our civilization. Hell, it predates complex life forms on this planet as we know it. From an evolutionary standpoint, it doesn't make any sense. The agent confused asked, Doctor, how could something...
So, I mean, it took 540 million years to get this far, so this isn't exactly a fear in any near future. But is there some sort of looming fear that, you know, give this another couple 100 million years, it'll just outgrow the world? It'll just crab rave all over the place?
So big even come into existence. Planet is actually landmass. It's a wonder we call it Earth. Most of this planet is water. We aren't looking at a creature that's on our planet, Agent. We are on its planet.
That's good writing, bro. Literally chills.
Just then a flurry of alarms and sensors began to go off at the bridge of the ship. The team scrambled to their stations, checking off monitors and shouting readings to each other. The ship's thermal sensors are detecting a massive rise in temperature, transmitting power to cooling systems.
What?
We have activity northwest of our location. Sonar has something big headed our way. We need...
What is that accent that he just pulled out of nowhere? What was that?
To dive now.
We need to dive now. Bro went from Italian to Russian over a heart. Whoa.
We have activity northwest of our location.
It's an activity northwest. We have to go now.
Sonar has something big headed our way. We need to dive now. The ship lurched forward.
That was wild.
Nose first, as everyone on board held on to their seats, the restraints keeping them from falling forward. Just outside of the viewing port, Dr. Hart could see an enormous scaled appendage moving fast in their location. We need to steer the ship clear of the Talons. Revert all power to the thrusters. Get
bro thinks he still has a shot at surviving.
Us out of the way, the doctor yelled. Don't you think I'm doing that? The captain shouted back.
Don't you think I'm doing that? We need to get to the chopper now!
The ship jolted sideways and downwards as an immense wave of pressure came over the submersible, putting 6 Gs of force on its occupants. Jez 6-1 yelped out of fear as the ship came close to crashing into what appeared to be the edge of a titanic talon, the size of the Empire State Building. Following the encounter, the part of the ship bordering the reinforced glass of the viewing port began to glow bright red. It's boiling the water around us, one of the crew members cried out. It's not boiling anything, it's just cavitation due to the pressure reduction in the water. The updated runes on the ship's...
Yeah, this thing has no power. Everyone sees something so massive, right? So huge. It must have other earthly powers, otherworldly abilities that we don't understand or can comprehend. Meanwhile, it's just fucking big. It moving is like a natural disaster. It moving is an act of God. His power is just being a big, thick fucking boy. So thick that the clap of his ass scales keep alerting the guards.
Stay focused on the mission, bottom feeders. After several moments of holding their breaths, the crew of Nemo 1 began to relax as their pace returned to a slow descent along the side of the underwater behemoth. Before long, the vessel was no longer traveling straight down, but starting to curve under the creature, traveling north towards the theoretical head of SCP-169. After several hours, the ship came upon giant fissures in the rocky exterior of the creature. These massive vent-like structures appeared stiff, but slowly they opened and closed over the span of weeks. These were the respiratory organs of the organism.
That's crazy. You can't even see it breathing because it's so slow.
Clocking it at over 2 miles underneath the surface of the ocean, the crew carefully began entering the smaller pod-like submersibles that detached from their main ship. Jez 6-1 entered his pod and strapped on the haptic gloves that would give him
the haptic gloves
control of the pod's robotic arms.
That's pretty awesome.
He and a team of 3 other volunteers.
Dude, what are you supposed to even do at this point? Like, I guess gathering information is good, but like at some point, does information even matter? It's like, okay, yeah, you killed the Titans by slashing the nape of their necks, but like, you're not gonna kill the Colossal Titan. Like, it's useless.
Peers had agreed to undergo the dangerous mission of attaching artificial chemical emission machines that could be programmed to...
Can you poison it somehow? Is that what like they're trying to do here?
Release anesthetic gas into SCP-169's respiratory system.
Oh, they're just gonna keep it sleeping. That's their plan here.
On command only. The emission machines could be refueled manually whenever the contents ran out. It was an ingenious solution Dr. Hart came up with when thinking of his time studying sharks as a marine biologist. They would tag the fins of
Dude, marine biologists have never been this useful in history.
Sharks by capturing them and
Dude, Jotaro out there punching the air right now. Let's go.
The specimens on the deck of their boat. From there, the scientists would drill a radio frequency emitter onto the fin of the shark. When he had first seen this practice as a young college student, Dr. Hart was afraid the process was harming the shark, but later he learned it was designed in a way to not be harmful to the specimen.
He is literally history's worst marine biologist.
And eventually the tag would fall off after enough data on the shark's movement was collected. Except these tags would not be falling off, he thought. They could not. For the sake of all mankind, this had to work. The doctor pressed a button on the receiver of the radio and spoke. JAS 6-1, what's your status? Pressure's holding, all signs look good. JAS 6-2, pressure's holding, all good. JAS 6-3, all clear, Captain. JAS 6-4.
He changes their accents every time, Captain.
4, there was silence. JAS 6-4, do you copy? All clear, Doc, sorry, my mic was muted. En route and ready.
Oh my god, it's just this. They got in. My mic was muted. What is he, a streamer?
To do this thing. Dr. Hart sighed in relief and slowly reclined in his chair, watching the pods move closer to the large openings on SCP-169's side. One by one, the robotic arms used underwater torches to drill into the thick, rock-like exoskeleton of the creature, screwing in complex million-dollar equipment that was both waterproof and could withstand the immense pressure at such a depth under the ocean.
Dude, they're so rich, the American government just lets them murder their civilians to keep secrets. That's the dream, guys. That's the dream. When next time you're selling out and you're making YouTube videos, you're clickbaiting shit, you're out there, you're doing crypto scams, and people ask you, when is it enough? When is it enough? Dude, you have all these guys out there, Logan Paul keeps scamming people. Bro's making millions, probably almost $1 billion at this point on his prime and all that shit. And he's still out there scamming, grinding, doing whatever he can. Probably evading taxes too. And everyone asks, when is it enough? When is it enough? This is now the baseline. When you're so fucking rich, all right, that you could devote billions of dollars to freaking goddamn injecting nails and all this shit into giant behemoths, and also legally being allowed, according to the American government, because of how rich you are, to just murder people to keep secrets and get free use of death row inmates to just use for your random tests and bullshit, just for your random garbage and experiments and all that. You have legal right to death row prisoners. That is how rich the dream is. That's the dream. When is it enough? That is just about when it's enough.
Anxiety for the safety of his crew and the success of the mission. But before long, the pods began to return one by one to the mothercraft, each completing the segment of work with which they were tasked.
Let's go.
The last pod still working was JAS 6-1, whose robotic arm was in the process of rotating a large industrial-sized screw. JAS 6-1 had all but finished when suddenly a low rumble could be felt shaking the larger submersible. Dr. Hart's voice came crackling over the radio. Get back to the ship now! JAS 6-1, wrapped in deep focus.
Oh god, don't.
On his task, replied, I'm just about finished, just packing.
No, don't say I'm just about finished. Just 2 minutes, Mom. I'm coming in 2 minutes, Mom.
At my tool belt. Leave it. Return to the ship now. That's an order. Jesus, what's wrong? It's not like this is the end of the world.
That's bad foreshadowing. Oh no, oh god, oh
said the
Lord.
agent, chuckling over his radio. An ear-piercing echo sent shockwaves through the depths of the ocean around the submersible. The waves rumbled with the sound of SCP-169's voice, similar to the sound
Wait,
of a
what?
whale,
No
but
shot.
amplified by a million. The sound sent all the crew members falling to the floor as the ship experienced severe damage from the burst of pressure, slightly cracking the glass viewport and sending smoke flooding into the small bridge.
Dude, it just casually just breathes and this happens?
Gas masks! Shouted Dr. Hart as they all donned breathing apparatus. SCP-169 is
He's the only one that doesn't wear gas masks! Everyone puts on gas masks, he just stands there.
waking up. Begin activation of the chemical emission machines.
Oh my god, if this is what keeps it asleep, that is the most coincidentally fantastic thing in the history of time. Bro, it was just gonna wake up.
We need to sedate it now. The Leviathan is waking up. We need to stop it, shouted Dr. Hart. Just then, he looked back and noticed JAS 6-1's pod was gone. JAS 6-1, what's your position? JAS 6-1, where are you? Sir, sonar has him drifting off deeper into the ocean behind us. He must have gotten knocked off SCP-169 by the shockwave.
Oh,
but Dr.
Lord.
Hart wouldn't have it. He didn't want any more blood on his hands. Reverse thrust.
Oh my god, dude. Man has the fate of the world on his hands. Literally, if this thing wakes up, it's Jover. It's go Jover.
Just turn us around and get to him. We're not losing
Nah, he'd win.
anyone. But the breach in the hull. It'll hold. That's what the runes are for. The outside of the submersible began to glow a slight blue as the ship's system started to come back online to full capacity.
All right.
And alarm systems started to turn off and report normal pressure readings. Before long, the Nemo 1 had caught up to Just 6-1's pod and retrieved the agent, who had been knocked unconscious by the shockwave.
All right, this is pretty peaceful all in all. This is okay.
Once the agent was back on the main ship, the doctor turned his attention back to the monitors, making sure the installations they drilled into the creature were functional. Slowly, the machines came online to full power.
Bro, you're telling me they actually fucking roofie the Leviathan, right? Dude, you have the Leviathan here. It just breathes. It just hums, and it can destroy anything around it just because of its sheer size. Bro says, nah, I'd win, and there's no survivors. And the solution is chloroform. Yes, Dr. What's his name? Dr. Hartman? Dr. somebody, whatever, he's just sitting there. They said I couldn't put all those years of college parties and date rapes in the 60s to good work.
And the speed at which SCP-169 had been moving began to slow ever so slightly. The team all watched the viewport in silence.
Dude, I'm just saying, if it breathes that slowly, it should take much longer for it to actually get in his body, let alone affect him.
As a steady stream of anesthetic gas was pumped into the respiratory system of the gigantic living myth in front of them. After a few moments of waiting, the doctor spoke. I think it worked.
Oh my god. That is crazy. This dude's literally the nicest guy in the whole SCP Foundation. Bro, everyone in the SCP Foundation is actual psychopath. And then you have this guy, this absolute Giga Chad, drunkard, pot-bellied old man, kicking butt. Let's go, dude.
He said with a smile. The crew erupted in cheers as they radioed control back up on land that the mission had been a success. The message quickly reached the O5 Council, where a red alert status was de-escalated, and the O5 members withdrew from their plan of leaving the current Earth for that of an alternate universe.
Wait, what? The O5 Council was just gonna pussy it out? They saw it waking up and they were like, all right, Leviathan is waking up. All right, we ditch Earth. We go to another Earth. It's all good. Crisis avoided, sort of. Except for literally from everybody else.
The whole crew began to sing and celebrate the prevention of the end of the world, as Dr. Hart simply stood in front of the massive viewport, watching the mountainous specimen slowly grow smaller in the distance as the submersible began ascending back to the world above.
Bro, O5 Council really watched it waking up and they were just gonna be like, nah, I'd live.
Just 6-1 came to congratulate him, patting him on the back.
We did it,
he said.
Loosen up.
The doctor managed to laugh along in acknowledgement. That we did, he said in relief. That we did.
Brother.
The two watched the deep blue ocean in silence, taking in the vastness of the sea. Perhaps this would not be the end of it, but that day, they had done what the SCP Foundation did best. Kick that apocalyptic can a few miles down the road. And sometimes, in the face of the terrifying and the infinite, that's really the best you can do. Now go check out...
Yeah, that's crazy. That was honestly a really, really good one. A really, really good one. I am very impressed. Like, they know that there's nothing they could do. Right? They know that there's that it's all ultimately pointless. The only thing you can hope for is keeping it asleep, and they found a solution to keep it kind of at bay for as much as you can. And honestly, that's dope. This was a good one. I like that it wasn't actually causing tons of deaths and stuff. I feel like it was just a more, I guess, casual SCP operation, and I like those a lot. It's just like, it adds so much flavor to the world. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.